as you can see behind me, well, first of all, I'm back in the woods. Got in last night, trying to get things set up so that I can get busy today. Today was a little bit interesting because I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm tired or something because I've been doing some work elsewhere since I've been here, but I'm out here right now. This is my first day. I spent the night last night. Oh, and let me tell you, it was pretty cold. I think it got down a little bit below 30 last night, if I'm not mistaken. And it was pretty chilly. Fortunately, I had a little buddy heater with me. I ran a little while and I got into my sleeping bags, and that worked out pretty well. So today, as you can see behind me, I have a sheet of tin in the front of the overhang. So what I'm doing there, of course I'm trying to get this camera straight because I don't often shoot this way. Normally I would do a time lapse and just do voiceover after that, but since I'm a little off right now as far as the system and everything that's going on, I wanted to make sure that at least document some of this stuff. So what I'm doing today is in the past videos I've said that I wanted to make sure that all the wood is covered even underneath the overhangs. So when I was here last, I finished all the rusty tin for the siding. So the only thing left to do now is under the overhangs, because as I said before, I didn't want any wood showing, because that means I will more than likely at some point have to paint, and I really didn't want to do that. So I want this thing to last as long as possible without a whole lot of maintenance. So I'm doing a little bit extra trying to get that done. So anyway, that piece of tin that's hanging down over there by the ladders, that's going to get bent and pushed underneath and screwed in, and then I'll add another piece to it to make sure that it comes down over the siding. That way it will cover everything, and if rain hits it, it'll go down and won't go behind the siding. And that's the whole key of trying to make everything waterproof out here, trying to do everything so that water doesn't get behind something. And that's what really causes the problem, because if you can't see it, you don't know it's back there, and all this time or all that time it will be rotting things away. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. So just wanted to document that. So I'm going to turn the camera around so that you can see it better, and I can stop pointing these things at myself. Okay, I'm sure you can hear the generator over there because I'm having to cut an edge off of this tin so that it'll fit underneath my drip edge. So what's happening now is that I'm having to bang the tin a little bit to get a scoring line on it, so that when I get ready to bend it up, it'll just go right underneath and it won't crinkle too much. Now, the biggest part of this whole thing is dealing with the sides. This side right here is a little special. I'm going to have to make a little adjustment on that so that it'll bend around the corner. And I'm only going to have to do that, 3 more times. So that's going to be the big deal. But it's not the easiest thing getting this tin up there by myself. Doing the siding was a lot easier because I just had to stand it up for the most part and then bang it in or screw it in. So this is what we're doing, or what I'm doing right now. I always like to say we, but there's only me. But at any rate, I will check back in. I don't think I'm going to do any time lapse today. It's about 1 or 2 o'clock right now, so I only have a few more hours to work before the sun starts to go down. So I'm going to try and keep it moving. I at least want to get, hopefully, this whole front done, but it's a slow process between cutting and getting it underneath there and screwing it down. So that's what the job is today. So I'm still at it. So I will check back in a little bit later. So picking up from where I left off yesterday, I was working on the overhang at the front of the house, and as you can see behind me, I have most of it up. It took forever. It's a little difficult getting the tin up. It's 11 feet. It was a little difficult getting it into position and screwing it to hold it without one side coming out or one side being up further enough underneath the drip edge. But after playing around with it forever, I think I got it. So behind me you'll see the three pieces. Okay, so underneath here, it might be a little dark, but you can see that all the way down I have the wood covered underneath, and that's one of the things I've been talking about, is covering up all the exposed lumber, because that way I won't have to worry about painting, won't have to worry about too much of the termites, even though I've treated everything. Always want to be doubly safe. And then of course I was also thinking too, if there is a fire in the area, hopefully the tin will take a little bit longer to burn so that my house will last a little bit longer, hopefully. But it was all going along with my rusty metal theme, because that's just what I've always wanted to do, is make the house look like a little shack in the woods. So here we are. So as you can see, towards the rear of it, a little bit more exposed lumber up there. So I'm going to cut a short piece and try and get underneath there, and then I'll be free to move on to the sides. Now mind you, this project took, well, I guess it'll probably be about a day and a half for the front. So I'm hoping the sides will be a little bit faster. I don't know. I'm hoping it is, but I'm thinking that since this was the tallest portion of the house, then these over here on the side will go a little bit faster. The only thing I have to do is add a little lumber underneath to bring it all the way down to the 2x6, so that I'll have a straight path over to connect the tin. So that's what we have going today. So I've done everything I've needed to do. I've gotten up this morning and gotten my breakfast going. Only had cereal. I used my stove here to heat up water to do the dishes from last night, because I didn't want to bother with it then because it was dark. Then I did a bucket bath this morning out of my trusty old bucket right here, and now I'm all cleaned up and I'm ready to go. The thing that I was thinking about this morning is doing things the way that I did out here. It's a whole lot more time consuming than doing it traditionally. First of all, I had to bring my stove out, get everything out of the house, bring it outside. And of course, I didn't do it inside because I don't have a place set up to do it inside. So that took a minute. Then of course, going back and forth to get everything out for both to take a bath and do the dishes. There's a lot of things I had to bring out. Of course, when we think about doing things traditionally, or the way that everyone does it today, is that you go into the kitchen, you go into the refrigerator, get your food, take it over to the sink, do all those good things, you do your dishes and put them away. It's a done deal. You don't have to do what I've done today, or had to do today, is go inside, get everything, bring it out, make sure you don't forget anything, back and forth, back and forth. That in itself is enough for a bunch of steps, which is a good thing. It's always good to get a little exercise in, but when you're thinking about doing stuff that way, it just takes so much more time, and you got to do so much more. So you just have to give yourself a lot more time. I don't really think about it too much, as I probably did when I was little growing up down here. It was just a normal thing, and of course we didn't have a whole list of things that we had to do or wanted to do before a certain time, because I think in those days we just took life as it was and didn't rush to do anything, because you had all day to do whatever you had to do. I was either in those days in school or at home doing whatever, and you had as much time as you really wanted, or I think anyway. But being a kid, you have so much time anyway, you don't even think about it. But as adults, there's so much we want to get done in a day, in an hour, or whatever, because we have our schedules packed with everything. This adventure, project, desire, whatever you might want to call it, I think it's been a good thing because it makes me slow down, because I know that in building a house, you can't do it in a day, a week, a month, or whatever. Well, you probably could if you had a crew and things like that, and you didn't live 2,000 miles away from your building project. But doing it like this has given me a whole lot of patience. Sometimes I run out, and even on this trip, it seems like I'm a little bit more tired than I usually am, maybe because of the things I was doing before I got here. But it does make you slow down and think about what you're doing, and make you want to just, I guess you would say, something like smell the roses, because you know you can't go too fast, because if you try and go too fast, you cut corners and the end product is not the way you want it. And of course, if that happens, I don't think I'm going to be very happy with the project if it's not to my liking. So I'm just slowing down. It's taking a long time, because if you guys have been with me since the beginning, I broke ground here in June of 2017. So in my time, it's a long time, but it really isn't, because I'm building the way that I'm building. I'm not here every day, every month, and things like that. But either way, it's been a great project, and basically re-emphasizing the need for patience in one's life and the things that we do, especially the things that we do that we want to do and we like to do. So this project is definitely it. There are things I want to get done here this time. I've gotten started with what I really needed to do. I wanted to complete most of the outside stuff, mainly on the structure itself. Then I can go inside and get some work done on the electrical and the plumbing. That isn't a major ordeal, but working on the outside is, because it's high up. I'm working by myself, so I have to go extra slow to make sure I don't fall and hurt myself, since I'm the only one out here. The inside's not going to be too bad. It's just basically working off maybe a 6 or 8 foot ladder when the time when I need to. Other than that, I'm on the floor walking around doing my thing, drilling and putting in electrical and things like that. So all in all, it's been a great project, and I'm going to go ahead and get started doing some things today, hopefully finishing up at least the front of the house and getting started on the 2 sides, and then we'll see how that goes. So at least I'll have that much done. So if I can get things done the way I want, I can complete all the overhang. I can get all that covered, and that would be a beautiful thing, because most everything else will be inside. And then of course, when I get to a certain point, I'll go ahead and put the skirt around the house, and I will have a complete rusty siding tin house that's complete. And then of course, there's a porch, and then before I do the porch, I got to cut a bunch of trees. Then after I cut a bunch of trees, I got to build a storage container, a storage space house, to get everything out of the house, because everything I have here is in the house, and as I'm working in the house, it gets in my way. So that's going to be the next thing that I need to do, is take care of that, because I just like to work without having a whole lot of things around getting in my way. At any rate, that's it. So I'm going to cut this thing short and get busy. So until the next video, see ya.